Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Lego Rebel.
And I'm Roger.
And this is my assistant Roger. And there's also Vic, who is currently manning the camera.
Hi.
Now, you might be recognizing a couple of familiar faces behind us if you're a longtime viewer of this channel. And that's because today we're finally doing a habitat build showcase. Now, as many of you might know, at least, I have had a series where I've been building different Star Wars habitats for each Star Wars project Lucasfilm releases. Minus Star Wars Vision, since that's an anthology series and therefore not canon, but that's a whole different thing. But since I did the last showcase, there have been a few more shows added into the mix, and therefore they needed to be put on the habitat stack. The only problem is I procrastinated putting them on here because that would require, well, you see, I put all of the habitats into storage in this one giant bin, and putting them all together is difficult and frustrating, to say the least. Thankfully, nothing was destroyed this time, but still, I kind of put it off until today. So, like I already said, we are going to show you all the habitats in their full glory. The only problem is that they won't all fit on the screen that we're currently on, which is why we're going to show you them like this. Now, granted, it does need 2 more habitat builds to be considered a full pyramid, but since the Mandalorian and Grogu movie's coming up, as well as Maul Shadow Lord, I think I got that covered. But yeah, we got all of the habitats and therefore Star Wars media show things here. Unless I somehow forgot one, that would be kind of embarrassing. And they're all in somewhat accurate timeline order. What I mean by that is I did have to make a couple guesstimates here and there, mostly with the Tales of series. Like with Tales of the Underworld, I kind of had to guess where it took place because on the Star Wars website it says it takes place in between Revenge of the Sith and Tales of the Empire, but I have a feeling that that was about Asajj Ventress and not the Cad Bane part because, well, timeline reasons. So I put it in between the Acolyte and Tales of the Jedi. But other than that, I'm pretty sure this is pretty timeline accurate. And since you're probably having a hard time seeing all these, I guess I'll have to give you a close-up of all of them. So first up, we got Young Jedi Adventures, which takes place in the High Republic era. Now, sorry if the camera's shaking, I'm not the best at filming with my hands, but I forced myself to watch the first 10 minutes of the show so I could get some reference. And what I got was Nubs, Kai, and Liz, who you can see the top of her hair back there, training in the Jedi Temple. Next is the Acolyte, which takes place at the end of the High Republic era, and I chose the scene where Master Indara and May fight in that bar place. Next one is Tales of the Underworld, where Cad Bane, formerly known as Colby, and Nero, his old childhood friend, have an old western duel in an alleyway. So, not really that old western, it just feels like that. Next is Tales of the Jedi, where Mace Windu and Count Dooku, deflect some blaster bolts, even though there's none in the habitat build, but there are in the scene, trust me. And this is also the first habitat build I made that had something coming out of it, which is the leaves. Just wanted to mention that. And speaking of first, the next habitat is the first one I ever made, the one for the Phantom Menace. This is the scene where Anakin and the others are having dinner at the table. Granted, I couldn't fit the others and I didn't have the others, so I just put him and his mother, Shmi Skywalker, at the table. And yes, I used some tape to stick the bowl to the table so it wouldn't fall off. And next is the one for Attack of the Clones, where Obi-Wan is searching up Kamino in the Jedi Archives with Jocasta Nu. Sorry if I said her name wrong or something. And final one on this level is the Clone Wars Season 7, or basically just the Clone Wars. And this is where the clones turn on Ahsoka after Order 66 is issued. Now the next habitat build is the Revenge of the Sith habitat, which is fitting because this year's the 20th anniversary of Revenge of the Sith. Now, I chose to make one of the most iconic scenes from the movie where Anakin is about to jump over Obi-Wan and get all of his legs chopped off. Yeah, that was probably one of the saddest and darker Star Wars movies. Next up is the Tales of the Empire habitat build, where Barriss Offee is being led into a room by the Grand Inquisitor so she can fight him. Granted, I don't have a Grand Inquisitor minifigure, so I have Marok as a stand-in. Next up is the one for the Bad Batch, where the Bad Batch first meets Omega, aka the GOAT, on Kamino. And yes, I know it looks like they're cornering her, but trust me, they're not. They're friendly, okay? Leave me alone. I'm not the best at building hallways in habitat form. And moving on to here, we have the Solo habitat build, where Han Solo and Chewbacca are stuck in a mud pit. And I'm pretty sure Chewbacca tried to eat him before. And next up is the Obi-Wan Kenobi habitat mock. Granted, the scene is supposed to be foggy, but I didn't really know how to make that, so I just made all the walls gray, like pretty much everything else in Star Wars. But yeah, this is where Obi-Wan Kenobi and Darth Vader fight for about the 11 billionth time. Next up is the Andor habitat build. Now, granted, I hadn't watched Andor when I made this build. I got this scene from another YouTuber, but I decided to build the prison break scene, or like when Cassian and all his friends escape the sea prison, or Sea Imperial prison, and Kino Loy, one of the guys who helped them escape, reveals that he cannot swim, which is a problem because they need to swim to escape because the entire prison isn't surrounded by water. So yeah, that kind of tugged at your heartstrings. Next habitat build is the Star Wars Rebels habitat. And I chose the scene where Ezra is trying to lift a bowl using the Force, and Chopper tricks him into thinking that he did, when in reality, Chopper was the one lifting the bowl. Doesn't really surprise me that Chopper did that. Next up is the Rogue One habitat build, where K2SO is throwing the grenade at the stormtroopers. Fun fact, this is the first habitat I built that utilized the fact that most of my habitat builds, plates that they're on, extend way too far back, so I decided to add some stormtroopers back there. Next habitat build is A New Hope, where I built the scene where Princess Leia is giving the Death Star plans to R2-D2. And again, I just want to apologize for my bad camera filming. I'm not the best at using my hands for filming. But the next habitat build is, you probably guessed, The Empire Strikes Back, where Darth Vader cuts off Luke's hand and tells him that he is his father. Probably the one of, if not the most iconic scene from Star Wars. And next up is Return of the Jedi, which holds a special place in my heart because it's actually the first Star Wars movie I ever watched. And I decided to build the scene where Princess Leia first meets Wicket. The next habitat build is the Mandalorian habitat. And for this, I decided to build the scene where Mando and Grogu first meet. And it is a pretty cute moment in the show, gotta admit. And the next habitat build is the Book of Boba Fett habitat. And I decided to make the scene where Boba Fett is on Jabba's old throne and Fennec Shand is standing at his side. And honestly, I'm just glad that that giant space slug is out of there. And the next habitat build is the Ahsoka show habitat build. And I admittedly do like the show because Ahsoka is my favorite character. And I decided to build the scene where Ahsoka is training Sabine on how to use a lightsaber using wooden sticks. And the next scene, or habitat build, is the Skeleton Crew one, And I decided to build this scene where the kids meet SM33, which Lego didn't make out of Lego, which was, you know what I'm trying to say. They didn't make a Lego version of SM33, which was a total missed opportunity, Lego. And the next habitat is the Resistance habitat. Also, sorry that the other ones were a bit blurry. I just found out I had the camera on the wrong setting. Apologies. But for this habitat, I decided to make this, one of the scenes where Kaz and Poe Dameron and BB-8 are on a mission, a resistance mission. And the next scene is from Star Wars The Force Awakens, where Finn crash lands on Jakku. And the next habitat is, you probably guessed, for The Last Jedi. And it's where the stable kid, whose name I forget, is staring off into the stars. And the final habitat, marking the end of the habitat stack as well as the Star Wars timeline, is the Rise of Skywalker, where Palpatine somehow returned. And I also used yellow minifigure hands for the lightsaber blade, since I don't have one in yellow because my multiple attempts at buying it off Bricklink have somehow failed one way or another. Sorry. But I decided to make the scene where Rey stares off into the sunset with BB-8 at her side. Blah, I can't talk today. After she's buried Luke and Leia's lightsabers. And also, to compensate for the blurriness earlier, I'm just going to give you a quick show of every single one of the habitats that I've shown before. Just so you can see them a little bit clearer. And the 3 sequel movies are all stacked up together. Just wanted to say that real quick. So yeah, I am really proud of what I've made with all this. Granted, I might feel a little bit nostalgia because they were the first things that I really started posting on my channel other than the Ewok Forest mock. But yeah, I really do feel like I did an incredibly good job on all of these, even the ones that I'm not the proudest of. And I hope that you like them too. Well, we hope that you enjoyed seeing all the habitats in their full glory. Feel free to comment down below what you think.
Please consider to like and subscribe.
And until next time, peace out.